Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, hanging out with these nerds.
Nathan Nerdarch.
Nerdarchy is dead.
And we're continuing our Learn to Play Dungeons & Dragons series, and this time we're going to talk about the core mechanic of 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, and that's rolling the D20. First off, we want to thank our sponsor, Easy Roller Dice. Whether it's your first set of dice or your 100th set of dice, Easy Roller Dice. Down in the description below, you can find a link for easyrollerdice.com/Nerdarchy, as well as a one-time discount coupon code for 20% off. So go grab your Easy Roller Dice.
All right, so we're going to go more into our Intro to D&D series, and this time we're going to talk about the D20. When you have these tasks that you don't know whether you're going to be successful or not, we roll the D20. Whether you're looking to swing a sword, climb a wall, or resist off a spell that's being cast at you, this is when that comes the task of rolling.
So it sounds like we use a D20 for a lot of things in this game.
Indeed we do.
So how does that work?
So it comes down to a little bit of math, and it's part and parcel of the game. So we roll the D20 and we look at the number that is facing up. We're going to add your proficiency modifier, if it's applicable, as well as whatever appropriate stat modifier is going to go along with it.
Well, okay, that seems simple enough. A little bit of rudimentary math, the number on the dice, so that we're building some tensions, figure out what's going on. But how do you know whether you succeed or not?
Well, that depends on what you actually want to do. So there's attack rolls that you can make, swinging a sword. There's ability checks you can make, climbing. And there is saving throws, so when you're trying to resist a spell.
So you figure out, like, the grand total of your check. That's all the same, right?
Yes, but the resolution depends on the specific task.
Okay, so how does that affect things?
So, for instance, if I'm swinging a sword, the target number that I'm trying to get is determined by what I'm swinging at. So a monster and another person might have a different armor class or a different target number that I'm trying to hit. So if I roll a total of 17, that might hit the person, but it might not hit the monster.
So what you're saying is when you're making attack rolls, that target number actually has a specific in-game term.
Yes.
And that's armor class.
Yes. All right, so for saving throws, you're going to have a DC, which is a number that you have to get the same or greater than to succeed at it.
Right, so oftentimes your DM is going to have you either hit an AC or a DC, armor class, or difficulty check.
And that's going to be determined by the person actually casting that spell.
Right, which we're not going to get into in this video. We'll have other videos where we tell you how the spells work and everything. But what about, you also said other kinds of tasks, right?
There's an ability check. And this is like if you're trying to climb a wall or you're trying to jump across a chasm, you have skills that are going to come into task there. Could also be, whether you're recalling knowledge that you might have heard previously.
And with that, some of them are going to have difficulty checks, a number that you're going to have to attain, or there might be an opposing roll based on whether or not another individual or creature is what you're trying to roll to accomplish a task.
Oh yeah, that's true. There's interaction skills as well as physical skills in the game where, instead of where the DC, the difficulty check actually changes according to their ability. So it's like you roll off against them instead of having a static number.
So an example of an opposed roll is Dave and I are having a conversation and I'm trying to lie. So I would use my deception score to try and hide the fact that I'm lying. Dave would use his insight skill to try and figure out whether or not I'm lying. So if I wind up rolling higher, he doesn't see through my lie and he believes what I've said, whereas the vice versa is he's got me figured out and he knows I'm not telling the truth.
Right, and as we said, these are considered ability checks. And they'll have abilities that are associated with them. Many of the interaction skills are associated with charisma, like the deception skill you just mentioned, or me trying to figure out if I'm being lied to would be my insight or my wisdom ability score. Because if you don't have proficiency in the score, it's just your ability check. So that's another thing, and that goes back to what we talked about earlier. D20 plus your proficiency, if you're proficient, and the ability modifier. That's how we figure out what the overall check is, or whether you succeed or fail at a task.
So what other ways in 5th edition is the D20 used?
Well, there's times where the situation is leaning in your favor or very much set against you. So there's times that they need to figure out, well, what do you do when that happens? So they have what's called advantage and disadvantage.
Well, disadvantage doesn't seem like it'd be in your favor at all.
Well, that's going to be when the cards are stacked against
When
you.
the odds are not in your favor.
So there's a lot of different things in the game that will give you a mechanical advantage or disadvantage. And what exactly does that mean for the person who has to make that check?
So in those situations, you're going to roll 2d20. In the case of having advantage, you're going to roll twice and choose the better of the 2d20 rolls.
But what about disadvantage?
Well, you're still going to roll 2d20,
Oh, nice, sweet.
but this time you're going to choose the worse of the two results.
Oh, less sweet. It's less sweet. So less sweet.
So it's a pretty simple way to give you a clear way of having a possible better or a possible worse. Now, as with anything, the luck comes into it. I've seen someone roll 2 20s and I've seen someone roll 2 1s, and doesn't matter what they're rolling, whether it be advantage or disadvantage on that one, results wind up being the same. 20's always better, 1's always worse.
Yeah, it actually came up in our game last night where someone double forward. Now, you can gain advantage and disadvantage in any number of ways. There's class features, there's spells, there's circumstances in the game. There's something called inspiration where you can actually give yourself advantage. So all of these are going to be factors into playing. But pretty much, most of the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition game revolves around rolling a d20. There's some other dice you're going to roll for different things. But more than anything, you're going to roll that d20.
So chances are, if you don't know what to do and you're stuck in that situation, roll a d20 and ask what appropriate modifiers, and you're probably making the right choice.
So again, as always, we want to thank our sponsor, Easy Roller Dice. But if you guys have any questions about rolling the d20 and using the core mechanic in your 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons game, feel free to ask them in the comments below. If we ourselves don't answer, I'm sure one of the awesome Nerdarchy fans will get to it. So while you're down there leaving your comments, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
You can check out our articles over at nerdarchy.com.
And don't forget to check the description for that link to easyrollerdice.com/nerdarchy. And don't forget to use that promo code.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.